introduce Sabine and Stefan. Sabine and Stefan will make a case for the digitization of corporate real estate on the strategic and operational level. Sabine is part of Locatee's customer success team and supports customer success to get the most out of Locatee analytics. With her fast CRM know-how and many years of experience as a CRE manager at Adidas and Siemens, she has been in the exact same situations as our customers. Stefan is looking after Locatee's global key accounts and helps them at every step on their data-driven corporate real estate journey. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Sabine and Stefan. The digital stage is now yours, my friends.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon also from our side. Thank you for joining the Workplace Analytics demo that we're going to share with you today. My name is Sabine M, and as mentioned before, I'm working as a customer success manager at Locatee, and I'm in this role as I have been working in corporate real estate before and seen the other side of things. So I worked as a facility manager at Siemens, being responsible for one of the big locations in Germany. And then I took care of Adidas European real estate portfolio, but I'll get into that later a bit. With me today is my colleague Stefan Fuß. He's our head of sales, and he's going to shed some light later on how one of our customers has actually deployed Locatee and with it managed and mastered their real estate portfolio. So we are today in our Locatee studio, and this is quite new to us actually, but it quite nicely shows how actually all areas of our life are touched by digitalization, and even more so as we were forced to leave offices and stay at home working remotely, making use of the tools that were available. And then there you quite quickly saw that the companies and people who were well acquainted to these tools had an easier start into it, and others had issues. And as a corporation, you really can't afford to be left behind when it comes to change. And one example for that is actually a company that we all know, which is Netflix. We probably have been doing Netflix too much in the past weeks. What only few people know is that Netflix has actually been around for the past 30 years. They started with renting out DVDs and sending them to people's homes. And back in the day, their biggest competitor, or actually the market leader, was Blockbuster, who had a concept of the stores where people would go to rent out DVD, or actually earlier in the days, VHS. And in fact, in 2000, Netflix had offered Blockbuster a purchase for $50 million US. But Blockbuster did not believe in Netflix's business model of sending DVDs to people's homes and stock to their strategy. But then we all know what happened. Not only did the DVD become a huge trend, but online streaming actually took off. And as of today, or actually 2018, Netflix is worth $172 billion US, while Blockbuster went bankrupt in 2010 with only one store open left in 2018. Now, if we compare that to corporate real estate, the one trend that has been around since actually the early 2010 years is agile or activity-based working. So I was around actually when the major corporations started piloting this new flexible desks or hot desking concept, moving away from assigned desks. And now 10 years later, I actually have to say that this concept in most cases has not been rolled out worldwide, but it's still only in a couple of locations. Now that might be rightfully so, because it makes sense to roll it out when you anyways have a project. But for sure, one of the resistance points was that they'd try it out in a pilot based on best practice and educated guessing. And then there was a huge doubt whether that would work for all locations worldwide. Now, we are at a very crucial turning point right now, because we do know that remote and flexible working can work if you provide the right tools and work environment. So actually, corporate real estate has to act now in face of what has been going on. And you don't want to do that just, again, guessing, but you do want to do that with confidence based on data that will support a sustainable way forward, because the tasks that are there are to reduce costs, because there's a lot of pressure now on corporations, and at the same time to provide employees with a workplace experience. So the train for changing the workplace is here, and it is actually here now. So how do you go about that? There is 3 steps that you need to take. First is start measuring. You get continuous data on how your real estate is actually utilized. And then you can look at it live, and later on you can look at it historically and set it into perspective. And then once you have that data, you can use it and base your decisions on it. So when there are lease events, or an option to break or option to hand back space, you can actually use the insights you got to found your decision upon it. And then once you have done that, you can go even beyond and integrate the data into your broader strategic toolkit set to make use of what you've learned, and not only react anymore, but actually be proactive and include these insights into your sustainability program, into turning your buildings into smart buildings, and in providing a workplace experience, making that insights, that knowledge available to your colleagues and employees. Now, it all sounds quite logical and obvious. Question is, why has nobody done it like that before? And the thing is, back in 2010, the digital tools that are available today weren't there yet. You do a manual study for 2, maybe 4 weeks, and based on that glimpse, you would make huge real estate decisions. And then naturally, at other locations, people would hesitate to adapt that because they didn't know it would work for their business as well. You might add business insights to that, but still it's just gut feeling and very subjective what you had. Now, Locatee actually makes use of the network connection data that is around, because in all buildings, you do have Wi-Fi and LAN, obviously, to run your business. And that makes this new solution very scalable and easily applicable for your whole portfolio. We take the network connection data then and run it through our US patented engine. And then beyond just collecting the raw data, we're actually visualizing it in dashboards in our Locatee analytics tool that are then available at any time at your fingertips. And you can select and filter for different time ranges and types of workplaces to really make sense of your real estate decisions. And now I'd actually like to invite Stefan to tell us more about one of our customers who has done exactly that.
Yes, thank you very much, Sabine, for that nice introduction. So again, hello to you all. My name is Stefan Fust. I'm the head of sales at Locatee, and I want to present you today a case study we've done with Swiss Re. Swiss Re Insurance is the second biggest reinsurance company in the world. A reinsurance company is an insurance for your insurance, and today we measure with them around 40 office buildings globally, APAC, in Europe, and also in North America. And I will tell you their story and also give you a live demonstration of our tool. So Swiss Re, actually, they follow the same way that Sabine just suggested by measuring, managing, and master their corporate real estate in this new digital age. So I will switch shortly to the live demo, and that will take 1 or 2 seconds. So let me just shortly switch. Give me a second. I will share my screen. So, and unmute myself. I hope that you still hear me. Great. So what you see here is Locatee Analytics. This is our real estate portfolio overview. So it's like the window into the data that has been collected using LAN and WiFi or other auxiliary data sources. And now Swiss Re started working together with us in 2019. And from the beginning, it was very important to them to measure their whole real estate portfolio. But in their mind, their primary goal was to align their corporate real estate with their global enterprise strategy, which was to digitize their whole company, and part of that strategy was also corporate real estate. And the second focus point for them was not space efficiency or saving space and therefore saving money. It was the employee. So they put the employee in the middle and wanted to create a work environment where people loved to come to work, could be creative, could collaborate together, and for that they also needed data. So that's when we started working together with Swiss Re. And short disclaimer here, what I'm going to show you now is our demo data. So it's not Swiss Re data, but the views are all the same. So imagine you're a corporate real estate manager at Swiss Re, and now here for the first time, you really have an overview about your whole portfolio here in the first step on the building level. So you can actually see here now we selected a time range for around the last 3 months, how your buildings actually have been utilized. So you can also benchmark, of course, like different regions, and then you can start to drill down to single countries, cities, or to single buildings. This view is often used as a starting point for management reporting to identify overall underutilization, to focus your attention and identify the need for action. In the Swiss Re case, just in the beginning of the rollout, they had the possibility for a lead break in one of their Munich offices. So if you're the corporate real estate manager for that region, using Locatee, you can just open the web application and see here Munich offices. Okay, the utilization was quite low over the last 3 months. So it seems that it's worth to have a closer look if we want if we want to use that lease break. So from here, that's now building level information, telling you average KPIs, building peaks, and from here you can drill down into a building to further investigate. What you see here now is our so-called assigned space view. I have now drilled down here in the Ohm East and the Ohm West buildings. So it shows you a very granular overview, again, over the last 3 months, but you could select here any time range that you would look like. Be that a week or a specific week, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, as soon as you start measuring with Locatee, this data will be available at your fingertips. So here what you're seeing is a breakdown, to a closer look, a more granular look into one building, how different departments use the space that you have provided to them. So in the case of Swiss Re, they decided to densify their space and get rid of one whole floor. And they could use that data here to then plan how they want to densify, how they could move around different departments into the remaining space. But they also very cleverly use this data to communicate to the employees and to the line managers that even after the space reduction, after the densifying of the space, there will still be more than enough space, more than enough free workplaces for them to work, and they did not have to worry that they wouldn't find a free space or any available desks. From here, you can drill down even further, of course. So if now the head of sales would approach me and tell me, hey, I actually need a lot more space, then you could drill down here in even more details, really looking only at their space that is allocated to sales, to then have a more data-driven objective discussion with the head of sales to move the project forward. And now the next step that Swiss Re is currently taking is the master step. So they're using live data that we're providing here. They're using our API to introduce this live data feature into their workplace experience app so that people can already from home check if there is free space in the office. The example here, it's real live data. So in Switzerland, it's already 7 o'clock in the evening. So naturally, nobody or next to nobody is still working. But they're now using the data to integrate it in their workplace experience app to make it available to their employees so that they have the tool at hand to decide, should I come to the office or not today, or decide where do I find the free space, where can I find a desk to start working productively today. So that was a short introduction into Locatee. I could talk hours and hours and hours. I think one very important point that I forgot to mention is that one lease break very early in the project in their Munich office, Swiss Re was able to reduce their costs by 300,000 euros per year with one single project just at the beginning of our project that we had together before all 40 buildings globally have been online and measured with Locatee. So I'm gonna now switch back to our studio. Give us a second. Great.
Yeah. think that quite nicely illustrated the 3 steps of actually taking the time to measure, to get the database that is meaningful, to then base a big decision upon it and actually realize quite some substantial savings. And now even taking it that 1 step further and saying, let's make the data available to the employees as well, so they get their benefit out of it as well. There are actually many more use cases that we could talk to you about, but we want to have some time for questions and answers. So we would open the floor up to you guys now.
Sabine, thank you. Stefan, thank you very much. It was a beautiful presentation. And I must say that was a very beautiful setup. So thank you for thank you for that. There's a lot of questions that came through during your presentation, so I'll take it right from the top. The first question comes from Mark Belinsky, and it's regarding the utilization of data acquired. How is the utilization data acquired? By tracking mobile phones on the premises, other sensors that need to be installed by the customers, infrared, or etc.?
So that's a very good question. We have some sound problems here. Give me just a second. So that's a very good question. In the end, what the Locatee enables you is to use your LAN and Wi-Fi infrastructure as your main data source. How does that work? So actually we're turning your company issued laptops into sensors. That means if you can imagine, if you come into the office in the morning and you use your laptop to connect to a docking station, Locatee's algorithm will know that this docking station, this desk is now utilized. And if you use your company Wi-Fi together with your company issued laptop, we can use the access points as a sort of indoor GPS to trilaterate where a device is located on a floor. And then we aggregate the LAN and Wi-Fi data, combine it to give an accurate picture to corporate real estate and facility management, how the space that they provide is actually used. Being said that, adding sensors into the mix is possible. We try to minimize the use of sensors as much as possible for 2 reasons. LAN and Wi-Fi, it's a data source that's already there and ready available in all your office buildings. You don't have to add any additional hardware. And you don't have the initial upfront investment by buying sensors, installing sensors, and of course, there are no additional maintenance processes that you have to have with sensors. So if somebody places them somewhere else, or the battery lifetime has run out, so there's a lot of maintenance in using sensors compared to Wi-Fi and LAN. So therefore, most of our customers only use LAN and Wi-Fi, and then you can add as an auxiliary data source maybe some sensors to use for maybe a phone booth, to measure phone booth into the mix, but we try to minimize the use of sensors.
Thank you for that. There's actually a few more questions that came through just as you were giving that explanation. Does Locatee work for non-office applications? Is the technology only for office, or can it be used for other asset classes like multifamily, industrial, and other?
So the main use case is definitely offices. We do have customers actually in education who are using the tool as well to monitor their seminar room utilization and no-shows. But beyond that, we found it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you don't get that use case out of it as you would in the office. And you, many times, if you look at industrial, you don't have the network devices. As in the office also, there's not that much flexible seating, and you want to keep anonymization in the mix.
Yeah. Exactly. So Locatee's use case and algorithms are really tailored to the office space, to the office environment, and that's what our customers are using it for.
I was waiting for this. Thank you for that. I was waiting for this question. Your studio setup is awesome and very effective. What kind of hardware / software systems do you guys use for your studio?
So that's a very good question. At the moment, it's a trade secret that we disclose here freely in the internet. Sorry about that.
No problem. And then lastly, do you have plan to expand to Japan, the Japanese market in the near-term future? And I guess that there's actually a couple of questions came in regarding basically worldwide deployment. Can the technology be deployed worldwide, and how fast is the implementation process?
Yeah, thank you for raising that point. So the beauty about LAN and Wi-Fi as data source is its scalability. So already today we have customers that use the solution all over the world, be that Japan, India, South Africa, all over the world. Currently, we're preparing a deployment with a US-based customer for 500 buildings. So all the work is done remotely. We do everything from Switzerland. So already today, if you're interested to deploy Locatee, just get in contact with us, and it's globally scalable and available globally as well.
Thank you for that. So to answer that, that gentleman from Japan, yes, 100% available to your market as well as the United States and APAC. And then lastly, we're obviously, every market's been hit differently, but nevertheless the same when it comes to the current pandemic. How would you make use of occupied data currently with monitoring and compliance related COVID-19?
Yes. So a couple of our customers are actually doing it. Stefan mentioned it before. We do have a timeline function where you would, or where you do see how many people have been in the offices. We've actually done a study when the lockdown happened on when people left offices and looked at offices in different markets. And now they're also we have a heat map function where you see actually in which zones of the buildings are employees. And then you could use that to make sure that certain areas are not too densely populated. And also, as we have live data, you can look at it each day and make sure you don't get above certain thresholds of utilization in your office building. So that's the short-term things. And then there's many more things that you can later do once people start populating the offices again.
Well, thank you very much, Sabine, and thank you, Stefan. That's all the time that we have for today. And if someone needs to if anyone has any additional questions, how's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, you see it here. Write us an email, no problem, sabine.aim@locatee.com or stefan.fust@locatee.com, or visit our website and get some more information there, and leave a message there in our contact form. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Sabine. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure to us as well. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.